Now talking about cheap investments, first thing we gotta hit on is the Paris capsules. This is gonna be roughly the baseline we're gonna be working with all video, just because right now these are pretty much a perfect opportunity for a lot of people if you're wanting to hold out for a long period of time. Obviously, they've got a super low barrier to entry. There's a lot of supply out there, but the demand on them is pretty constant, and at least at this point, we're seeing the stickers stack up pretty well against the competition, which is extremely important. Now, when we're talking about the capsules, I don't think they're anything special and anything major is going to happen overnight, but over a longer period of time, they're probably going to end up pretty similar to what their competition is on a lesser scale, which is still a massive amount of growth. Skin Swap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins, with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options, and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description. Now I wanted to figure out what was the mathematical best Paris paper investment for you to go into. So we got the numbers of when the sale was just removed from Stockholm, Antwerp, and Paris. First up here, focusing in on the Stockholm capsule. As you can see, the Mouse, the Virtus Pro, the Tyloo, and the Entropic are the four most expensive paper stickers, but they were not the four least listed stickers overall. As you can see, Mouse was number 1 from its capsule, and Entropic was number 1 from its capsule, but Tyloo came in as the 5th least listed, but they were all below the average, which is extremely important. Coming on over to Antwerp, we can see that Cloud9, Imperial, and 9Z were all the least listed from their respective capsule, and all of them ended up in our top 5 for the current prices of papers from Antwerp. This is not too unexpected considering a lot of paper stickers from Antwerp have a very high supply. When we're focusing in on the other two, they actually come from the bottom here with Eternal Fire and Outsiders, both of which are not too expensive, but Eternal Fire comes in with the 5th least listed from their capsule, but once again, it is still below that average, which is extremely important. Now, what does this mean for Paris paper stickers? Well, focusing in on the Contenders capsule first here, as you can see, the only one that has a remote possibility is Mouse. That's because the other ones all have a supply of nearly 1 million stickers. To put that into perspective, the highest supply we saw from Antwerp was just under 200,000 with Big. This is 5 times that, and this is the average in this capsule. It's only a possibility for Mouse to succeed here, but I'm not even too sure about that with the current price point it has. Coming on over to our Paris Legends capsule here, we have to rule out Bad News Eagles, Into the Breach, Heroic, and Vitality just because they have an above average supply listed. We also have to rule out Furia and Navi just because they have other borderless alternatives, which is something if you look at the 9 we talked about previous, none of them had other than Mouse, which is obviously a special case. That leaves us with 9 and Fnatic for the Legends capsule of possibilities. Coming on over to our Paris Challengers capsule here, we have to rule out Pain, Force, OG Gamer Legion, and NIP just because they have an above average listings. Coming over to G2, we have to rule out just because it's got other borderless alternatives. Now Monty and Apex are quite interesting. Monty has about half of the average listings out there, and Apex has less than a third of the average listings for this capsule, which is quite interesting. So which Paris paper sticker should you go ahead and invest into? I would say if you're going to invest into any Paris paper stickers, it would probably be either Monty, Apex, 9, or Fnatic. Mouse is okay, but it's a little bit too expensive at an 8-9 cent price point. If it came down to 3, it would be perfect, but I don't think it's going to get to that point. The other ones have okay possibilities, but this is just my interpretation based off the past data, and you're obviously free to do whatever you want in this specific situation. Now, looking at other cheap investments, I think collection skins are definitely something you should also be checking out. A lot of collection skins, especially the grays and light blues, have seen a pretty significant amount of growth in the past, but I don't expect any reason for that to slow down, especially right now we're expecting to see an operation and we have really not seen anything in terms of content for a significant amount of time. Therefore, people are just trading up for these old collections, and a lot of them are going to continue on this growth most likely as long as we don't see anything interfering with this. Now, if you're going to invest into collection skins, I would highly suggest either checking out Riptide or Broken Fang collections. Jetter Web are really good, but they're a little bit too expensive for me personally just to see that massive amount of growth that I would expect to see in this area. Now, 3 things if you're going to go into collection skins. 1, it's probably going to be a pretty safe investment because the supply is completely cut off for all of the skins we just previously mentioned. 2, make sure you're going for field tested or factory new skins just because these are the 2 most commonly used for trade ups in this specific situation. And 3, make sure you're using a buy order as the buy now price, and the buy order price is probably going to have a pretty decent discrepancy between them. Talking about cheaper rare cases, I think this is a perfect opportunity if you're looking for a safe investment that's also cheap and profitable. If you want to look at unboxing numbers, we can see that there's a massive amount of these unboxed every single month, and the demand is not going to slow down significantly more than it has already. Talking about supply, almost all of these are going to be decreasing in supply, especially if we're talking about the rare cases. Therefore, it makes it a great opportunity if you're looking for something that's consumable. And the best part is most of these are hovering maybe around $1 at this point, which is a really cheap price point to go ahead and get into something we know is going to see sustainable growth for the future. And when we look at the 1 year for all of these cases, we can see they've already seen this growth in the past, and there is nothing that has fundamentally changed or most likely going to fundamentally change to go ahead and throw that trajectory off. A lot of these are going to see continuous growth in the near future, and it's going to happen over a longer period of time. So make sure you're not looking at the short term, but rather the long term, especially for this outlook. Now, if you don't have a ton of money and you're looking to make some massive profit on an item, you're probably going to have to go for a hidden gem investment. These are items that usually have a relatively low supply and the demand on them isn't anything insane, but you're hoping that maybe the hype would pick them up or they would just end up getting naturally in more of a desirable position. This is extremely important because these are the ones that end up with 1000% returns, but they're super uncommon because they're also a pretty risky area. A lot of them end up stagnating over time, so you gotta find the right one specifically. If you want my personal opinion, usually older operation stickers are going to be a good option if you're looking to start, just because a lot of them are out there and there's a lot of undeveloped stickers that have a ton of potential. We talk about the Riptide Surf Shop stickers. A lot of them look really good and don't have a ton of demand behind them just yet. You heat them up a little bit and there's going to be a lot of profit to be made. Now, this is a very risky tactic because you're pretty much relying on the hype entirely, but make sure you're not investing into items that are only going to go up on the hype. If we want to look at RMR Hollows, obviously they went crazy on the hype, but then they dropped right back off. Make sure you're not investing into something like that. Now, at least at this point, filler skins are quite cheap and therefore they could make themselves into this list, but I would definitely stay concerned in this area just because even though filler skins are down quite significantly from their all-time peak and they're very cheap, but there's a lot of supply coming in for these with the brand new drop system, it makes it a really questionable area. I'm personally not picking up any more of these just because I don't know exactly what's going to happen, and I could definitely see a lot of these going a little bit cheaper, especially in the near future if we don't see any brand new content. You're pretty much relying on a lot of brand new content coming into the game for these to heat up, and at this point, I don't know if that's really a bet I'm wanting to take. Now, when it comes to the question of are cheap investments worth it, I would say the answer is definitely yes, but you can't compromise just because an investment needs to be cheap. I would say there's a lot of great options out there, but don't just go with the cheapest investment because you think it's going to be making you the most profit in the long term. There is so many investments that end up stagnating over year-long periods because no one's interested, and even though the supply is low, if there's no demand for an item, it's not going to succeed. Therefore, you have to have a perfect combination of both of those, and a lot of cheap investments do, but there's more than enough out there that don't. Now, which cheap investment should you get specifically? Honestly, I've really got my eyes on the Paris paper stickers at this current moment. I think there's a lot of potential in this area, but it's definitely going to take a while to get to that potential, so I'm not investing into them just yet. Rather, I'm watching them, and I'm especially watching that mouse paper to see if it drops down to maybe 4 cents a piece, because I will definitely be picking some up then. I think the Paris capsules themselves are a pretty decent option, but I've already got some of those, and I don't think investing into more, at least at this time, really makes sense. We can see they're starting to get a little bit of traction, but they're not enough for me to go ahead and double down on an investment that I've already got a lot of. However, the area I think you should be most looking at is the hidden gems. I'm personally doing that in my investing series where I only get 50 bucks, but I think the hidden gems are a huge opportunity right now. When the market goes down, people tend to focus in only on the really liquid items like the rare cases and the capsules, and the hidden gems go completely unnoticed and completely undervalued during this time. Therefore, it's probably going to be a worthwhile area for you to look into. But that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of the day.